programs like this, like the 3Point Foundation, um, are, are one of the ways that I was able to achieve what I've been able to achieve in my life, and become the person that my family, my mom, and that I've always hoped that I could be, not only professionally, but from a moral perspective as well. So thank you for having me. First, one thing that I want you to think about is resiliency. In my role as Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, I didn't get there overnight. There was a path that I needed to take to get here, and it wasn't an easy path. Along that way, there were a lot of roadblocks that got in my way, that I had to, in some ways, dig deep. I had to tap into my past experiences. I had to tap into the fact that I grew up tough. I grew up in an environment where things were rough, where when you walked outside, you never knew what was going to happen. And for me, that built a toughness within me. And I carry that with me today. Even in my professional life, I still have that tough skin where it takes a lot to knock me down. It takes a lot for me to give up. And for me, that's resiliency. That's being able to get up when you're knocked down and keep moving forward, and having that mental toughness and desire to again reach those goals that you've set out and that you've made a plan for. The next thing that I want for you to think about is being courageous and having courage. And what I want you to take away in this, and I'm not talking about being tough and being able to fight and being boisterous and maybe even being a loudmouth. When I think about courage, it comes in a lot of different ways. And in this context, I want you to think about being courageous with your own convictions, with your own morals, with your own beliefs, and being courageous around understanding that your experiences matter, right? You may not come from a rich family that has all of the bells and whistles and access to all of these great things, but your own experiences are enriching you, and that they are powerful tools that will help propel you and drive you going forward. Case in point, my job as a diversity, equity, and inclusion professional, there's not a degree that you can go and get in college for the work that I do. The work that I do is born out of experiences. It's born out of my desire to learn more about the racial systems that are impacting us all, about unconscious biases that we all have, that impact the way that we deal with each other and impact the behavior, and impact what we do day to day. So I want you to understand that courage comes in a lot of different ways. And for you, it might show up in just being proud of who you are and being courageous enough to stand up and be proud of that and share that with others. Because again, your stories are important, your experiences are important, and they are what makes us who we are. And then the last thing that I want you to be thinking about, again, and I said this word a little bit earlier, is adaptability. And realizing that everything's not going to go perfect. I talked a little bit about having a plan. That's great. You need to have a plan because it helps you to think about the steps that you're going to need to take to get and achieve your goals. But you also need to realize that there are going to be roadblocks. There are going to be times where your plan doesn't necessarily happen in the way that you hope, and you need to be able to adjust to those. And again, utilize your courage and your resilience to overcome, and in some ways be able to adjust and make the best of the situations that you're in. So adaptability is one aspect that was really important for me in my professional career. Because you take a professional role doesn't mean that you leave yourself at the front door. Meaning, in my professional career, there's not really what I'll call an academic curriculum for what I do. What I do is focused around pretty much what I like to think about is conscientious love for the community and the people that I live with, that I work with, and that I play with. And for me, that's what drives me in everything that I do every day. So being an inner city kid, I'm constantly thinking about the challenges within the communities that I'm from. Again, I'm from Roxbury. I grew up in Evanston. I now live in Dorchester with my wife and my son Mason, who's 19, a recent graduate from high school, and he's now in college and figuring out his own path. And for me, having the ability to bring myself into the workplace and have that show up in a way that gives back to communities, gives back to the people that I've gotten so much from. And when I say that, I'm talking about organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, the Shelbourne Center. Mrs. Harris was one of the folks who, and I'm sure many of you may know her, or some of you may know her. She was one of the people that told me that I can do whatever I wanted to be. And that's a message that stuck with me throughout my formative years, throughout college, and also in my professional career, right? Those things that are ingrained in you, that people who are mentors like Miss Fernandez and Mr. Claude and Dr. J and Mr. Mitchell, things that those folks are imparting in you around building confidence, around self-respect, around being true to yourself. Those are things that you should really latch on to because they matter. And they're the things that are going to help you to be resilient going forward, to help you to be courageous when you encounter challenges, and also to help you to be adaptable when you have to change, right? And when you have to make adjustments in your plans and really be focused around what's next for you in your life. I am getting a vibe of pure leadership. And I think that what we're dealing with here and what I'm looking at here are our future leaders and our leaders of the future. And it gives me great pride to have this opportunity to give back. Again, talks like this, I took advantage of when I was your age. And I may not have listened to everything, being honest there, but I truly believe that those opportunities are important, and they stick with me, and they have stuck with me to this day. So I am eternally grateful for this opportunity.